Good morning. If everybody can come take their seats, we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Thank you all for coming out and joining us today. We're going to get started in just a few more minutes. We know the weather is slowing people down, so we want to allow those that are coming to come, but then be respectful of your time too. So just bear with us for just a few more minutes. Good morning again. All right, now we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you that are in the back, if you can come up and take your seats, or if you're comfortable back there, that's fine as well. Before we get started, I do want to ask for a moment of silence for the families of those students that were lost at Michigan State University and those that may be grieving throughout. So if we can just have a moment of silence for them, please. Thank you. Good morning again, and welcome to the Pontiac Collective Impact Partnerships Call to Action Community Event. I am Anisha Hanna, the Director of Strategic Partnerships and Initiatives, and I am Pontiac. I was born and raised here in the city of Pontiac. All my family lives here in the city of Pontiac. Post-secondary education took me to Ferris State University and then to Western Michigan University, where I achieved my bachelor's degree. And an employment opportunity took me to Chicago, Illinois for a number of years, but my family and my son brought me back here, which is home. So much has changed in our community over the years. Semino and I are thankful for the funders that saw Pontiac as a city of resilience, a city of hope, a city where opportunities exist not just for our youth, but for our adults as well. So this city may never be the same as it was when we were youth. It may never be the same as it was when you were youth. But I believe the city can be better. One of the ways that we can ensure that this is better is by making sure that we expose our children to different career opportunities, and that could be as early as elementary. We can make sure that we prepare our children for different career opportunities, and that's what they're introducing them to career paths in high school, and then allowing them the opportunities to shine and demonstrate their talents, and that's by employing our youth. That's why we are here today. We're here today to talk about how collectively, collaboratively, we can work together to revitalize the city of Pontiac and offer opportunities for our youth and for our families. PCIP is a convener, and today we are going to share our priorities for the community and how we need to help to move your help in order to move the needle to make an impact for the quality of life for our residents here in the Pontiac community. Henry Ford said, "Coming together is a beginning, staying together is a progress, and working together is success." We're ready for success, wouldn't you agree? Yeah. I agree too. So now we are ready. I am going to invite the City of Pontiac's Mayor, Mr. Tim Grimo, to come, and he's going to share with us, followed by Cal Talley from Oakland Forward, followed by Ms. Coco Mulder from the Pontiac Promise Zone, and then Dr. Deirdre Hurst, Assistant Professor of Foundational Medicine Studies at Oakland University. And then we'll have PCIP's Executive Director, Dr. Semino Scott. He will share our call to action. So in your seats, well, you already received when you came in the door copies of our strategic action plan. I hope you take time to look through it and see what our works are and our plans are for the city of Pontiac over the next 3 years. Mayor Grimo, you ready? All right. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to just begin by thanking the Pontiac Collective Impact Partnership for their amazing work in so many ways in our community, but especially when it comes to creating more job opportunities. And we've got a really exciting summer ahead of us in terms of opening the doors to a lot of Pontiac residents. We had a good summer last year, and I know that we have an even greater opportunity ahead in terms of summer job opportunities. And Pontiac Collective Impact Partnership has really been trailblazing and leading the way when it comes to this initiative. I also want to thank the other partners for today's event, Oakland 80 and the Pontiac Promise Zone, both of which have been doing great work for many, many years. But I want to give a special thank you to Semino and to Anisha and to everybody who's part of PCIP. They really are great truly great and very impactful community leaders. And the work that's happening around workforce development, I do want to recognize as well Carlton Jones here of the Development Coalition, because he's been in this space for a number of years as well. But the work that all of these organizations are doing, and certainly the opportunities ahead this summer, dovetail nicely with some important work that the city has embarked on as well. The city, as all of you know, received about $38 million in American Rescue Plan dollars from the federal government. City Council has allocated those dollars into different buckets based on priorities for our community. And we're unveiling specific programs in each of those buckets throughout this year. So each quarter, each 3-month period, we're going to be unveiling specific programming in a number of important program areas. This first quarter is focused on investments in our parks and standing up a program to provide financial support to Pontiac homeowners to improve their housing. But in the second quarter, we're going to be unveiling millions of dollars in programs for workforce development and for support to local small businesses. And stay tuned for the specifics around those programs, but in the second quarter of this year, May, June, we're going to be unveiling some specific initiatives around workforce development, and the amazing work that PCIP and all the partners that are gathered here today are doing will dovetail nicely with those initiatives from the city of Pontiac. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to again thank PCIP, Oakland 80, and the Pontiac Promise Zone for convening this session today, and I look forward to the great opportunities and partnerships that lay ahead for all of us, and especially for the residents of Pontiac. Thanks again for being here. And I want to invite up Cal, who's the leader of Oakland 80. So Cal, take it away.
Well, Mayor, I'm not the leader of Oakland 80. In fact, our leader is here today. You don't want to get me in trouble, do you? Thank you so much. Just a few minutes here while we work with the technology. Let's see if it works this time. There we go. All right, that looks good. No, I am not the leader of Oakland 80. My name is Cal Talley. And Rana El Igo, she's out there someplace. Just raise your hand. That's the real leader of Oakland 80 and of our local college access network. Again, my name is Cal Talley. I am new to the Pontiac region. I came down from the Saginaw area just to do this work. I'm excited about being down here. Even though I'm new, I appreciate what's going on in Pontiac and how you accepted me as a member. I believe that I am Pontiac right about now. So thanks again for allowing us to have this opportunity today. So if we move forward just a little bit, let's just talk about what we're going to do today. I'm going to stand over here, Samina. We talked about this. This was kind of backwards for us. I'm going to give you a little bit on the history. This is a modified presentation that we've done around the community. I've cut it down just a little bit to meet Anisha's requirements for me. I wanted to talk an hour, but she says, no, Cal, you can't do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Oakland 80 initiative, the benefits that we believe that are embedded in Oakland 80. And I want to spend just a little time talking about what Oakland 80 means to Pontiac. We'll talk a little bit about how we've set our goal, probably introduce you to the Oakland 80 navigators. There's about 6 of us across Oakland County. And I've got just a little slide around resources. Won't spend a lot of time there. I'm going to give you an opportunity to figure out how to reach out to me and my counterparts in terms of getting some of those resources. So let's see what's next, Amino. Okay, a little bit of history. In 2018, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, she announced that the states wanted to be at 60% of Michigan residents over 25 having a college degree or industry recognized credential by the year 2030. Currently, Michigan rates at about 37th nationally for the educational attainment piece, specifically when we've got some significant gaps, specifically in race, ethnicity, and income. Oakland County, an economic driver for this state, boasts a 61% educational attainment rate, and I think that's outstanding. I believe that, coming to a community in a county like Oakland County, where people are really focused on educational attainment and getting people the kind of credentials they need to do work is important and essential for growth. Give me another one. All right. So, our Oakland County Executive David Collier, I really appreciate the work that he's done. He recognized that there is an opportunity here in Oakland County, and he really wanted to do something in terms of helping adults that are 25 years and older to be able to attain those things that they need in terms of having a successful career, in terms of maybe a post-secondary degree from a college, four-year college, or community college, or an industry-recognized credential. So we're just excited about doing that particular work, and I'm a part of it, so I'm excited about that. Okay, I've got a little film here. We're going to try and make this work. I've done this presentation a couple times. It depends on where I'm at. It may or may not work, but this is a kind of a film that, or short video that our executive did, and it kind of explains the ins and outs of and his vision for Oakland 80. Can we do that, Samino? You're not, okay, let me see if I can help. We may not be able to do this one. So let's go to the next slide. And that particular film is on our website, Oakland County website. You can go out there and do it. I encourage you to do that simply because hearing from his voice is important. I think it is a good picture of what his vision is for in terms of Oakland 80 and how it's going to help our communities. And basically the benefits from Oakland 80, we want to close the skill gaps that we're experiencing in our communities with business and communities. We want to increase the opportunity to access the educational piece and create skills that lead to bigger jobs and bigger paychecks. We want to develop a workforce that is more educated, and we want to make sure that we do that with the diversity equity lens, and we want to be more competitive for economic growth. Let's look at this next one. This is a slide I put together, and I mean, when you look at this slide, and depending upon which census data outlet you look at, the numbers may be just a little off, but it kind of just builds the picture around why come this work is so important for Pontiac. If we look at the 38.3% over to the far left, that's where Michigan is in terms of educational attainment. Oakland County in the middle is around 61%. But to me, why this work is so important, when I look at Pontiac, we're down to around 17%. This is why it's so important to be a part of initiatives like the Pontiac Collective Impact Project and other, you get an opportunity to partner with other people that are trying to do this heavy lift. And I think that collective impact is the only way to solve this problem. And in Oakland 80, it's essential that we are in the room when we're having those discussions. So you can kind of see where our opportunities are. All of you that are in this room that are doing this kind of work or have a piece of this work already know this kind of data. I have already seen this kind of data. But we're going to be laser focused in terms of working hard with Pontiac just to get this number from 17 to something that the city deserves. Oakland County has navigators, as I mentioned, embedded all around Oakland County. In fact, my home headquarters is over in Novi. So what are you doing in Pontiac, Cal? There is a lot of work to be done in Pontiac, and when you look at this work with an equity lens, we do put more resources where the work needs to be done. I go to Novi and I work with the Novi community in terms of getting that work done. But like I say, I am Pontiac, and I recognize the need being here in Pontiac and the work that we've got to do in Pontiac. So I spend some time over here with my counterpart, Tanya Medlock. She's originally signed to and the person that needs to work with you in Pontiac, she's right out of the Michigan Works headquarters out on Perry. But this is her headquarters. This is her area that she nurtures and she serves. And quite frankly, she allows me to come over here and work with her, and I appreciate that. So just excited about being able to work with this community. Some of the things we try to do is reduce the obstacles that, one might encounter when they're going down that academic track, trying to figure out how to get a degree, whether a degree is right for them, is it an industry recognized credential, or what is it? How do I get to that next step in my career? We also provide what we call mentorship and coaching. We just don't only engage with individuals or one-on-one, but we want to stay with them until they get through their academic plan and make sure that they reach those goals that they want to have in their life in terms of fully attaining those degrees or those credentials that they want. So, simply what we want to do when we engage individuals within this community, we want to figure out where they're at, where they're starting at. We want to figure out what they want out of life. And our job is to help them get from where they're at right now to what they want. And part of that is more art than science. But at the end of the day, building those trusting relationships so they're willing to come and talk to us about their goals. We're willing to give them, we're passionate about giving them those resources or connecting them to those resources to get them through those goals, and just having fun in the way that we do it. So I think there is one more slide. Let's see, what is this one? Oh, this is just some of the other things that we do with Oakland 80. Talks about the navigators, and it talks about some of those other resources that we may need. Now, I'm going to encourage you to go to our website and take a look at that video that I wasn't able to share today. Take a look at some of those things that we're trying to do with your help, make happen in Pontiac. So I think I'm going to leave it right there, Samino, and I don't know if there's an opportunity to take questions, or we'll just move on from there. We got that big light right here at me, son. If there is no questions for me, I'm going to be around, for the rest of the morning, and just bump me in, ask me that question. I tell people all the time, err to the side of bugging me too much. I'm okay with that. So we're going to get some work done in Oakland County. We're going to get some work done in Pontiac, and I'm just excited about being here today. Thank you, Anisha.
Thank you. Thank you, Cal. I think I like the light because I can't see you, and even though you can see me, so I think I like that. Uh-oh, I spoke too soon. So thank you, Cal, for sharing that information, and I hope you saw what we saw. When we look at the data, we see the opportunity here in Pontiac. And again, these are reasons that we wanted to share with you so that you can understand why we do the work that we do and why we need your help to make a change in the data that we're seeing for the city of Pontiac. Now I'm going to ask Ms. Coco Motor to come, and I don't know if you all, hopefully you all know who the Pontiac Promise Zone is and what they do. And Ms. Coco is going to share with you more in case you do not know. Thank you, Ms. Coco.
I'm a walking billboard for what we do. Thank you. And we are the best kept secret, I say, in Pontiac. Cal was talking about Oakland 80 and how they're going to try and push the envelope. Are you going to click for me? Thank you, sir. I got a nice administrative assistant over there. But the Pontiac Promise Zone has been around since 2010. How many people knew that? About 5, 6, maybe 2 people in the background because they've been coming to presentations. Kano back there, he's on my board, he should know. I think I have another board member, Mr. Northcross, who is also here. But the Promise Zone has been around for a while. And we have been supplying financial support to students who live and graduate from the school district of the city of Pontiac, which is roughly 10 schools, both public, private, and charter. So who are we? What is our mission, and how do you help us get there? Go ahead, Samino. Keep going. So the Pontiac Promise Zone is actually the last dollar in scholarship opportunity. What does that mean? That means that when students decide to choose a post-secondary opportunity, notice I say post-secondary opportunity. I didn't say college, because everybody doesn't want to go to college, but they do want to pursue a post-secondary opportunity, which could be a skilled trade, it could be an accreditation, it could be a license, it could be a certificate. We don't care what they want to do, we just want them to choose an opportunity that fits them best. Now, if that happens to be college, 2-year, 4-year, we are happy to supply the funds for that. But we want to make sure that students know that it does not matter what they do as long as they do something that can contribute back to the greater workforce of the city of Pontiac. Would you agree? So the tuition assisted program helps those students who, oh, that's changed, hallelujah, we have gone. So you see this says for the fall of 2021, we had awarded over $240,000 in tuition scholarships. As of the fall of 2022, we are at approximately $400,000 to students in the city of Pontiac. So we've increased about 50% of those students are now enrolled in some post-secondary opportunity. Go ahead, Samino. So, college is any form of post-secondary opportunity. We either say university, we say trade schools, we say apprenticeship programs. We've worked with the TDC program. We just enrolled our first student in SIMCA. We have young people who are in CNA programs. We have students who are in beauty programs, beauty college, and you know, I want to get some hours in. So if you know students who are interested in that and you want to get your face done or your hair done, please participate with those young people who need that experience. And certificate programs. So what we're seeing is that young people don't actually know what skilled trades are. And that's one area that we are going to start to focus on, because when we say skilled trades, a lot of people are thinking they have to go into the plantation or the plant. And that's not necessarily what they are deeming to do. We have electricians, plumbers, we have beauticians and barbers, and we have, yoga, specialists, and all of these things that are different from when we were growing up a long time ago. We didn't have the choice to be a yoga instructor. Right? That was not something that we would have thought to do, or to, do mindfulness and all of those kinds of things. And so the whole genre and generation is changing from what it once was. Jobs that existed when we were growing up are not the same jobs that exist today. Right? So we have to change the mindset of our young people. Go ahead, Samino. So here's how the scholarship works in the Pontiac Promise Zone. We are based on the years that you are in the high schools here. So if you are here 9th grade only, you get 25%. If you 9th and 10th grade only, you get 50%. If you are 9th, 10th, 11th, you get 75%. And if you do all 4 years in the school district of the city of Pontiac, you get 100% of the funding. So what does that look like? When a child enrolls in the Promise Zone category, whatever program they decide to do. Colleges are different than skilled trade programs because their funding is different. But if a student enrolls in a program after they graduate, the first 2 years of their college, 2-year, 4-year program, they get up to $4,000 a semester. So times 2, that's $8,000 a year. We do not want kids to be in debt. That's why the Promise Zone was created. I could do an uneducated poll and tell people to raise their hands and tell me who is friends with Sally Mae. Still. And I'm pretty sure everybody would raise their hands and say, I owe Sally Mae and all of those people some money, honey. We are all waiting for the president to say, free. Right? I know I am. So when they graduate and they decide that they are going to go to college, the first 2 years they get up to $8,000 a year. And then the last 2 years as upperclassmen, they get up to $10,000 a year. Remember, that's per semester. So they get $5,000, they get $5,000. We also offer them a $400 book stipend every semester. It is a reimbursement. So if students are in school and they have books, they need a computer, we offer them up to $400 a semester, every single semester. And all they have to do is apply for it, because it's a reimbursement, okay? We do offer half-time and 3/4 time now. Our board just voted last fall to increase opportunities for students who are in 3/4 time. That means they are not full-time, nor are they half-time, but they're still hanging on in class. Because guess what? COVID, it just did something to students. We don't want them to stop. So we needed to make sure that we could provide for those students who are on 3/4 time an opportunity to stay in school and not have to pay out of pocket. So our board voted in the fall to change that access to them so that now we can take care of kids who are 3/4 time. So that's what this is that halftime and that 3/4 time opportunity. So it changes. So you'll see 2,500, 1875, 1250, and 625. Now we have a 3/4 time. So that'll be updated so that students know what that looks like. Keep going, Samito. So the eligibility criteria is very clear. A lot of misinformation is out there about what qualifies for Promise Zone dollars. Go ahead. So, number one, you must be in attendance at a Pontiac Promise Zone school, period. You can't go to Avondale, can't go to Waterford, West Bloomfield. Can't do that. We cannot. This is an entitlement program for the school district of the city of Pontiac, the city of Pontiac. We are only serving our babies who are doing what they need to do right here in the city of Pontiac. 2, you must have an address that is listed in the city of Pontiac. Must have an address that is listed in the city of Pontiac. And I say that with a smile on my face because we will have young people who will say, I go to Pontiac schools, but they live in Oak Park. Unfortunately, the law says we cannot give that kid a scholarship. Now, there are some who live in the voting district of the city of Pontiac. Those addresses qualify and are eligible for this scholarship. So we have some addresses in Bloomfield, over there by St. Joe. What's that apartment complex over there? Charles Lane, right? We have some areas in Auburn Hills that are still in the voting district of the city of Pontiac. We have some over right on the border of where OU is. That's still Auburn Hills. So a lot of those kids qualify. They go to Oakland Christian or they go to Notre Dame Prep. So those students qualify for our scholarship. Number 3, FAFSA. You must fill out the free application for financial aid. Now, we also offer the opportunity for students who are DECA students, students that are here not by any means of their own, but they had to come with their parents. And they enroll in the school district of the city of Pontiac, and they will never, ever qualify for federal funds. They are qualified for Promise Zone dollars. We are not about the business of how you got here, but you did everything that you were supposed to do to graduate, so you will get Promise Zone dollars. So if somebody's out there saying they don't get it, our DECA students are rocking and rolling in the Promise Zone. And then number 4, enrollment. You must be enrolled in an academic institution or an accredited trade school apprenticeship or certificate program that is registered in the state of Michigan. We do not support kids that want to go to HBCUs. We do not support kids who want to go over yonder to that Ohio place. We can't. We cannot support kids who want to do that. However, what's really great about the Pontiac Promise Zone is when these young people decide they want to go to school away and it's not as great as they think it is, and when they come back and they say, hey, I didn't like going to school, let me just choose the Ohio State University. Say they wanted to go there and they didn't like it and they come back. They have up to 5 years to utilize the Pontiac Promise Zone dollars. And so they may have not had the greatest experience. It is our job as a Promise Zone is to find those babies. They come back, hey, let's get you enrolled in the school here. Let's get you in a program in Pontiac or in over there at OU or wherever they decide to go, OCC. They may join some apprenticeship program at GM. We don't care. We just want them to be doing something that creates a post-secondary opportunity. So, who are our schools? There they are. Arts and Technology, Auburn Hills Christian, Baldwin Road Christian. So if anybody knows anybody over there, yep. Heritage Christian School, International Technology Academy, Life Skill, which is now Flex Academy, qualifies. Notre Dame Prep, Oakland Christian, Pontiac Academy for Excellence, and of course, Pontiac High. Those are it. Those are the only schools that we support. So if somebody says otherwise, they did not get it from the executive director or any of our board members. We cannot support any school that is not on this list, okay? So what's the application process? It's a very simple application process. They go to the www.pontiacpromisezone.org and they complete the first part of the application. You can go. And that is an eligibility application. So what that is a kid will say, hey, my name is, I live at, I went to, do I get money? That's what the application says. And we will look at it and we will say, yes, you went to Pontiac High. Oh, how many years did you go? I went 9th through 12th grade, or some will say K through 12. And we will send a letter back to them saying, you are eligible for 100% of, you are eligible for 75% of, you are eligible for 50%, or you are eligible for 25%. The second part, they come back, they graduate, woohoo! They have to enroll somewhere. We cannot offer a scholarship to somebody who's going nowhere. So that is the part of the application that the kids have to have done. So if you know young people who have not made a decision, that's your job to help them make a decision on just themselves, choosing themselves, so that we can then supply the funding for them to do whatever they need to do. So then the continuation process happens every semester after they're enrolled. That means every semester they have to put skin in the game. They have to come back and they have to apply every semester so that they can get their funding. We don't call and say, hey, did you do your application? We have kids that'll say, oh, I forgot. Well, put your application in, we'll take care of you, okay? So then that last part is the book and reimbursement application. Every semester they put a book, they order their books, they send the receipts in, they put their name in the system, and the system kicks out, yes, you qualify, up to $400 a semester. Those kids get a check, they get reimbursed, they can pay their bills. Go to www.pontiacpromozone.org, put your application in. Yes, we have parents that do this for their children. Yes, that's great. However, we want the students to be doing this because guess what? Parents are busy. And parents are not always paying attention to what the kids need. And so I rarely have to call a parent when these kids are done doing their applications because we want them to be independent. If I do have to call a parent, it may be because something didn't come in the right way. And that's the only time that we call parents. So we want them to be independent. So application submission is very simple. We ask them to submit their documents via PDFs. We don't submit any statements through, these kids do screenshots a lot. They don't always look so great. We do ask that they provide non-academic emails because once they graduate from high school, their emails are no longer working because they're not in the system anymore. Then we make sure that their financial documents have their student IDs and all of that stuff on it so that we have a form that we make them fill out that gives us permission to talk to them as well as the universities or schools that they are applying to so that we can make that a seamless process. We kind of call it that our success coaching so that if there's a question to financial aid or they lost money or something like that, we can talk to the school directly so that we can make sure that they don't stop out. And then we double check their application before submission, and then they are a Promozone student, and we're giving them money every semester as long as they make sure that they're applying. Keep going. So how do they remain eligible? We do not have a GPA requirement to get the Promozone dollars. We do have students who 1.7 GPA, but you know what? They want to go to college. They must maintain, however, 2.0 GPA once they get scholarship money. We are on that like water on rice. They do not want to sit at lunch with Ms. Coco to talk about what happened to their grades, but I do make sure that I know what's happening with these students. They must complete an authorization to release educational record form. That means so that if something is going on, I can talk to them and the counselors and financial aid. They apply every semester to keep their applications open, and they must meet those deadlines. There are always deadlines. As adults, we want them to be independent, so we want to make sure that they're doing everything on time and getting everything in so that they don't stop out for something as simple as, I didn't get my Promozone dollars. And I will take any questions that you have. I know that's a lot. Yes. Somebody has a question. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
What is the weakness in the communication process to these young people that we can help?
That's a great question. It is information. It is giving them the appropriate answers or the information that's not the wrong thing.
What's the pathway?
So I'm in a community talking about the Promozone all day long, but you all having the information directly so that you can hand it out or you can say, hey, go to this website. I can do that for you, meaning I can give you the brochures, you can hand it to the kids in your community and say, did you get your Promise on dollars? Okay? We sit down with parents, we sit down with grandmas, we sit down with anybody who's in charge of young people who have not made a decision, and we help them make the decision. So if I could do that, then that would help us out. It's really the information. Most of the things that we're dealing with, honestly, is the thought pattern that nobody in my family has done it, so why should I? So it's a poverty mindset. Well, nobody in my family, I'm a first gen, so nobody can help me with this process. And I'm not saying that it's not happening in the schools, but when I talk to young people, the first thing they say is nobody told me about this. Nobody talked to me about FAFSA. My parents are holding my information hostage. We know kids whose parents are holding their social security numbers, won't let them fill out a FAFSA, so that eliminates them having access to additional funding. Any other questions?
Can you give us an idea of how many students each year participate in the program?
So we have currently in the system roughly 600 plus or minus students in the program, whether they've completed, stopped out. Right now, we went from 47 students in 2021 to 106 in 2022, so we increased by about 60%. We'd like to have every single kid. The problem is, again, the information. It's the information. It's how it's getting out, and it's the right information.
So you say there's 40 kids per year, and how many are in the graduating?
We don't have we have cohorts. So when I say data, that's why we have to, the data says, right, the cohort starts 18-19. So those kids they graduated in 2018. So they're in the 18-19 cohort. So those kids will now be graduating. So we don't know yet how many of those kids have graduated because they don't graduate until April from whatever institution they're in. So every year it's a new cohort starting, and then you have the next cohort. So I won't know what the graduating cohort is. I just took this position 2 years ago, and so this data is now being calculated and tabulated, if that makes sense. Yes?
Do you have like certain representatives for each school that go out and talk to them, or how does it for them?
Child, it's me.
I can give information about
Yeah. Yes, I would appreciate that. Yes, if we could get in a parent liaison particularly, who could just take this and share this so that people know, that makes it a lot easier for us because it takes the community. Yes, I have board members who go out in the community who are out there, but it really takes the community to disseminate this information because you are the one that is close to the young people. I don't teach in the schools anymore. I used to all the kids and their parents, but now I'm responsible for all 600 of those kids in the system and finding them when they stop out. Ms. Jancy?
So you don't have a maximum number that can be served?
Oh, no. We don't have a maximum. I wish we was at the maximum so we could be just fundraising. We have enough money to support every single kid currently enrolled in the school district of the city of Pontiac from kindergarten all the way to their senior year. So there's no reason this money is not being utilized. I'm telling you now, my kindergartners are set if they stay in the district and graduate from the district when they graduate from high school. That's why we talk about career readiness starting in elementary school. Because if they know now that they're a scholarship recipient, then they have something to look forward to. They don't have to worry about how am I going to pay for this. I wish we had this when I was a kid, right? So now they have it. So it takes us to say to a parent, this is why you keep your kids in the school district, because they have this money. And we have people who are moving into the district because they know that there's a promise on here. Oakland County is the only county that has two promise zones, the Hazel Park promise zone and the Pontiac promise zone. So that tells you why that Oakland 80 is so important. Pockets of poverty exist. And we have to do something to help our young people move into the next level. Last question, anybody? Yes?
Those students who are competent enough, let's say perhaps attend Kennedy School, and we give them a special name called special needs.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
That special need for them also is furthering their learning opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
That's opportunity.
That is absolutely correct. We have students that are registered at LTU right now who came out of the Kennedy program that are doing a phenomenal job at LTU. So they still qualify. That's why we're doing this. That's why we are collaborating. we are collaborating with community, because that is the problem. Is, it is parents who don't think their kids can do it, and we have babies who are proven. I'm at LTU, one of the toughest schools to get into for engineering and all of those programs that they have over there, and they're thriving because their parents get it and are saying, hey, Ms. Coco, can you find a program? We will, as a team, our board members, and we will find a program for your child. There are schools that I've pulled kids out of because they weren't doing well and said, let's shift you over here because they take care of you better. And the kids then thrive. But that takes a little bit more, like a couple more steps for those kids to really take a chance on themselves, even if somebody around them isn't, right? So it's a kept secret, but it can't be a secret anymore because we got too much money to get rid of. We have a lot of money to get rid of, and it takes this community collaboration and people showing up to say, every time a kid comes in, where's she at? No, Leona, Miss Patterson, right? She's saying, you need to call a Pontiac Promise Zone. You qualify for Promise Zone dollars. Now, did you hear me say they have up to 5 years to utilize the funds? So 2018-19, that year is this year coming. So if they graduated in 2018, this is the last year they can take advantage of that money. This is the last year. So if they don't enroll somewhere by fall of 2023, they are out. So then I go on to the next year, 2019 graduates. So I have to find those babies who've not taken advantage. Kano? So that's we have about $3.2 million in the pot. We have to get rid of it. That's why I'm saying this is not a secret, and I need for each person in this room to be utilizing this money, because the governor also has created some funds that have come down. So that's additional support. We do not support room and board, however. We only support tuition, and we're last dollar in. That means everybody else's money has to be applied before Promise Zone dollars is applied. So just imagine what colleges can do. They can just shift the financial aid packet and say, hey, this is a Promise Zone kid. We'll wait for their $4,000. Right? I'm happy to pay. This board is happy to pay for kids to choose post-secondary opportunities, whatever that means for them. It is not what I want. It's what I ask them, what do you want to do with your life? And they'll say, Ms. Coco, I just want to do makeup. Great. I got a great school that I can enroll you in so that you get the certification and the license, and then you are good to go. They may not ever want to do a bachelor's degree, but do I encourage them to think about doing a business degree so that they can have a better business? Sure I do, because that credential is even better. Because they're not going to use $36,000 for beauty, right? So it takes all of us. This collaboration and collection is what's important, and it takes all of us to disseminate the information in an appropriate manner. And if there's a question you can't answer, just refer them, 248-214-0456. It should be in everybody who has a program in Pontiac. It should be in their brochure to say, and contact the Promise Zone. 248-214-0456. And if you want brochures, just shoot me an email or call me and say, hey, Ms. Coco, I'd like to have brochures in my business because I serve people in Pontiac. I serve this community. Okay? Yes, I am. I will do presentations. Yeah, and then we have board members who are willing to do presentations too. So if you want me to come and talk about and ask parents to have questions and they need the questions answered, I am more than willing to do that. As long as I have time and a space, I am absolutely there. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you. So I hope you all understand why collaboration is so important, why we all have to work together. And just like Coco was saying, the kids, their aspirations are different than what we may have had growing up. And so one of the things, before I pass it on to Ms. Hurst, we want to know what those aspirations are for our students. We want to know what they want to do. A lot of times when we talk about our students in Pontiac, it's usually from a negative narrative. We talk about what they're not doing, we talk about what they're lacking, we talk about just deficiencies. And so one of the things to help us to better serve our students is to actually listen to them and ask them, what do they want to do? And so we did that, and there's a video that we'll show you, but I'll have Dr. Hurst come up, and she's going to share with you from a project that we did with our youth, talking about what are their actual hopes and aspirations. So what our role is as adults, as community leaders, is to help our students to achieve those hopes and dreams. And so I'm going to have Dr. Hurst continue.
Thank you. I am excited to be here today to talk to you about asset framing. And so Tourbillon Shorters is a Pontiac native who started his career in tech, made a lot of money, and now he is a social entrepreneur. He is an expert on this concept of asset framing. He uses asset framing particularly to talk about how the narrative around Black folk in America is deficit focused. And then I was listening to Tourbillon and I thought, we don't just talk about racial and ethnic groups that way. We talk about a lot of groups that way. I'm a health researcher. I thought about how every grant that I apply for, every program, they want you to start with the problem. They want you to tell what's wrong so that we can fix it. And there's an inherent challenge when you start with the deficit focus. Okay. So deficit-focused narratives, they focus on what's wrong. An asset framing narrative focuses on what are the assets and aspirations of that population. And you talk about that before you talk about the problem. This is important not just because having an asset-focused mindset helps you to, have hope and believe that you can become more than your current situation. It's important because the narrative affects the way that we think about the people. I'm not an expert in neurology, but I do know enough about the brain to know that when we continuously expose ourselves to narratives that are deficit focused, what happens is we shortcut because our brains are just wired to be efficient. So it shortcuts and we start to look at not people, but we look at the problem. And our brains start to see the people as the problem. When we use an asset-focused narrative, we spend time to understand what people in the community want to do, what's important to them. And by doing that, it helps us to be better equipped to solve the problems. Many of you in this room have programs with mission statements. Many of you are active in the community. And so I want to challenge you to think about the narratives that you use in your day-to-day experiences when you're talking about Pontiac. On the screen here, you can see that often we start with, we help people, right? That's our intention. But as you can see here, a lot of times when we're talking about how we help people, we use a deficit narrative. We say things like low income, unfocused. We're hoping that we can fix the problem, but we start with that negative mindset. A better way of saying the same thing is to say, instead of saying we help low-income, unfocused kids make something of themselves, a better way would be to say we help offer guidance and job skills to youth in poor communities. But even here, there's negative, because we're talking about poor communities. What would be ideal is if we said something like, we help youth discover their interest and match them with training and jobs that support economic mobility. When we start to frame the narrative in a way that inspires hope, that helps us to focus on the problem and disassociate that problem from the people, we can do a lot more. When I've had the opportunity to speak with young people and just people in general in Pontiac, I've been extremely impressed about their aspirations, about the things that they want to do. And I think that the best way that you can find out what people are excited about is to talk to them. And so that's exactly what we did. And so we're going to share a short video with you where we just asked residents in Pontiac what was important to them and what they aspire to do. And hopefully watching this short video will inspire you to think about the way that you're framing the problems of today. And with that, we can share the video. Thank you.
Examining what needs to change usually leads with the past, maybe romanticizing the good, but more than often the narrative is deficit focused, giving space for negative headlines that exaggerate the bad. This can result in solutions void of our present strengths. Pontiac is more than its problems. It is a city of grit and resilience. It has produced entertainers, authors, professional athletes, educators, scholars, clinicians, entrepreneurs, good parents, hardworking employees, and moral civic leaders. The city is home to good people full of purpose and promise. The story of tomorrow's Pontiac is written by the dreams and aspirations of today's resident, built on their collective strengths. We are empowered to shape our change narrative around assets and aspirations, change rooted in hope and uplifted by our existing resources.
I am Leona Patterson.
I am Nicole Gonzalez.
I am Brooke Bursey.
I am Brian Becks.
Hi, I'm Adrian Thompson.
I am Kyrie White.
What's one word that describes you?
I am kind.
I am intelligent.
I am strong.
I am powerful.
I am a leader.
I am happy to be here to do this interview in particular because of how it hopefully will impact what's happening with our young adults and children in Pontiac.
What's one word that describes the city of Pontiac?
Pontiac is prideful.
If I can describe Pontiac in one word, it's beautiful. Pontiac is talented.
In one word, it's a recovering city.
Pontiac is a family.
How has living in Pontiac shaped your character?
Coming from Pontiac, like I said a little bit earlier, people from Pontiac are prideful to be from Pontiac.
Anytime I say, oh yeah, I'm from Pontiac, people think of this like broken down place, but that's not really what it is.
It shows that there's a lot of people here with talent, but you have to make sure you stand on your talent.
When people speak about the youth in Pontiac, what do they say?
I don't think there's anything said, and I think that's kind of the problem. If we really think about it, I think it's kind of like you talk about a kid from Pontiac, it's just kind of like a put it on the back burner type of deal. I don't think it's a real conversation.
It depends on who you're talking to. There are some people that are very positive about the direction of our youth. There are others who kind of downplay what they think they know about youth. And there's others who just simply do not relate to youth.
I hear things like they're not accomplished enough, or sometimes they don't have anything going for them.
I think they say that they are lost, but I don't think so. The youth in Pontiac is beautiful, I think. So diversity, and they are so fun. They are so much fun.
They say we're off track, and they don't really look at the positive things of how we support each other when we need it, and we all come together when we need to.
Some speak positive things, and some speak negative things. But a lot of people say there's a lot of talent in the youth, and some think they all just want to be gangbangers.
Tell us about the benefits of education past high school.
I think the benefits of education past high school can really help you see what the next step is for your life, and also give you that opportunity to explore new things.
I feel like, especially as like a male in the African American community, I feel like having a degree or some type of certificate to say that you have any higher education is just going to put you in a better position when it comes to the work field.
It helps you to be able to use the information you learned for those 12 years you were in school. So that's why you need a post-secondary education. That's what I think.
What's something that you hope to be doing in 5 years?
I hope to be in a good job in the sports marketing field, but also I want to be able to open my own organization to be able to help out in communities.
In 5 years, I hope to be furthering my career and becoming a nurse practitioner.
In 5 years, I hope to have my own restaurant, or at least something on that line. I really love to cook, and I might even do some inspirational stuff.
I'll be teaching kangu jumps as an instructor.
I hope to be in school studying law and getting my law degree, hopefully.
Even when I retire, I will be involved in some aspect of a community's programming, okay? I may not be doing it every day, but I also know there are some ongoing programs that I've been involved in that I will continue to support.
Were there any questions or thoughts for Dr. Hurst? Yes.
It's more of a comment.
Yep.
Just listening to, it's kind of a mindset of ours that we need to do. 'Cause I worked in mental health and housing for many years, and one of the things that we had to adopt is a people first attitude. So as when you say someone is that a homeless person, as opposed to a person who is homeless, or a low-income person, as opposed to a person who has a low income. So they're defined first as a person, as opposed to whatever their situation is. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, person-centeredness is very important because people aren't their problems, right? They're more than that. So thank you for sharing. Any other questions?
How much do you see this as being a part of the education
So I think that it depends. I think that the people that are in this room have the power to shape the narrative about the education system in this community. I think that the people in this room have the capability to shape the narrative about our students, about what is important to them. But I'm from Flint, and I've worked in communities like Saginaw, and my experience is that most of what young people, especially high school students, middle school students, the narrative is negative. And I think that we need to be empowered to change that. Any other questions or comments? Oh, I'm sorry.
Most of you know me as my field in parts of recreation, which is that asset training, that person-centered, all of that. We need to know that education is not in those four walls. When they get their foot out on the floor in the morning, they will learn whether the floor is cold, is it comfortable. That's a part of the education. My biggest problem, and my buddy over here, the young one, we share this, in that if we don't expose our young people to many, many, many different avenues, the avenues that they seek are the only ones they've been exposed to. And when you talk about negative, then what are you exposed to?
Absolutely. There are so many fields that young people don't even know about. I work with a health ethicist. Most young people don't even know that there's a person in the hospital who just focuses on ethics. Question?
Yes. Is there going to be some training on framing that you can offer to organizations, or maybe taking this on tour so we're all saying the same thing?
You know, ideas start in many places, and I'm open to working with the community to develop a training and figure out strategies. There isn't anything right now, but certainly if that's a need, we can find a way to accommodate. All right, well, thank you so much.
So let's give Dr. Hurst another round of applause. Also, I want to acknowledge once again Coco Mulder, the Executive Director of the Pontiac Collective Impact Partnership, and Mr. Cal Talley of Oakland 80, and Rana's here today as well. Let's please acknowledge them. You know, it was very important to set the groundwork for why we're here today, right? And it's not just, as Coco said, it's not just about a 2-year, 4-year college opportunity, but it's about opportunities beyond high school. Because we know that, quite frankly, it's hard to make a good living and establish upward mobility without doing something after you graduate high school. And in the center of Oakland County, one of the most affluent counties in the country, quite frankly, it's, in my view, unacceptable that when folks think about Pontiac, the first thing they think about is poverty, right? And it goes to Dr. Hurst in her discussion around asset framing and deficit framing. And so we have a lot of work to do on that, but it didn't just happen this year. It didn't just happen last year. For the last 400 years, Black and brown Americans have really experienced socioeconomic inequities in this country that we just all have to address. And what I love about Pontiac is we're not just Black, we're not just brown, we're not just white. We are a mixture of all races and ethnicities and religion that have a unique opportunity to come together to address our challenges ourselves. Because guess what? Superman is not coming to save us, right? So we have to save ourselves. And so much of what we're talking about And the essence of the Pontiac Collective Impact Partnership is addressing systemic change, right? Systemic change, changing unjust structures that keep people in poverty. So it's not just a coincidence that we have high rates of poverty in our community. And we spent the last 2 years exploring data in Pontiac, talking to you, talking to our youth, as you saw today. And thank you, by the way, Ms. Patterson. That was awesome on that video. That was awesome. And so we need to hear from our seniors, and over the course of this year, we're going to make a special effort to engage our youth. And what you saw in that video was really just the start. And so we got to address inequities in systems that impact education, housing, the criminal justice system, mental health, and employment. But we can't do it all at one time. So 2023 for us and our leadership team and all of you is really about developing a proof point, which is an opportunity for us to come together and demonstrate that we have the capacity to work collaboratively. And, you know, as someone born and raised in this city, you know, I'll just be honest, sometimes we don't like working together, right? It's a very challenging task, but I want to honor and thank each of you that got out in the ice and came today to really be a part of this call to action. And so for us, it started really understanding the structures. It started with this Undoing Racism workshop that took place just across the street about 6 months ago, where we really broke down over a period of 2 days. And what I love about this picture, this represents Pontiac, right? Black, brown, white, different religions. Folks, we had some very courageous conversations. And several folks are in this room today who took part in that. And, you know, it was really heartfelt, but it was needed, right? And the thing I've grown to love most is the conversations about race that I have with people who don't look like me, right? My white friends, my Hispanic friends, frank conversations that we have, and none of us get up from the table and walk away mad at the other, because our mindset has been framed by our experiences, right? And so that doesn't make you evil or a bad person if you don't think like I do, right? Sometimes we can't even sit at the table with a Republican if we're a Democrat, and that's ridiculous, and we got to change that. What this is really about is our youth, because our children are, in fact, our future. And so the Pontiac Collective Impact Partnership is really honing in on a cradle-to-career focus. We're looking at kindergarten readiness, third grade reading, 8th grade math proficiency, high school graduation, and post-secondary education enrollment and careers. But we can't do that all in 12 months. So what we've done is we've taken the time to really prioritize where we're going to start. And so we're going to start with post-secondary education enrollment and jobs. And I'm going to talk to you a little about some of the pilots that we implemented last summer with our partners. And I do want to emphasize that, because ultimately we are a convener. We bring practitioners together because we're absolutely convinced that we can go further together than we can alone. And what I've seen over the last 2 years, quite frankly, are small organizations that want to be in their own corner and do their own work exclusive to working collaboratively. And we know that if you want to go far, You can't do it alone, right? So that's the essence of what we do. And our outcomes that we're expecting for this year is increasing post-secondary education enrollment. And again, in the subsequent slide, I'm going to talk to you about some of the ways that we're doing that. And also increasing career awareness, career exploration, and career preparation, because it was mentioned earlier, you can't be what you can't see, right? I have a PhD, but my aspiration was to work on the production line at General Motors, because that's all I saw. And that's what most of our kids are seeing at best in many cases. And so for those of you that have experience working in the schools, you see it. Our kids are dealing with traumas that most of us can't fathom. Sometimes they come to school hungry. Sometimes they come to school angry because at home they're dealing with physical, sometimes sexual abuse. The only people that can address that and change it effectively in this city are our stakeholders, our leaders, and our community. So these are just some of the things that we've done, and we partnered with organizations such as the Pontiac Promozone. Sorry, Coco. So we have one event already. We have another scheduled, and let me get out of the way here, for February 23rd at the library, where Coco doesn't just bring folks together, right? She actually provides opportunities for tax preparation, because you can't complete the FAFSA if you don't have your taxes done, right? And then she also coordinates alternative career pathways. Like she said, everyone's not going to college. But even when we tell a kid, we want you to go into a trade, we got to set them up for success, right? We can't tell you to go be a skilled tradesman or woman and not highlight the fact that you still have to take some standardized exams just to get into the apprenticeship program. And Carlton knows all about that. And so, say that again?
They make more money than teachers, and how we communicate the way we travel.
Yes, and you know what? Thank you for mentioning that, because I also want to say that our kids, many of them, don't have an opportunity to be taught by well-qualified teachers, because we've abandoned the field, right? I remember in one of my favorite teachers, her son is in the back, Mrs. Phillips. She inspired me to go to college. It really was, she didn't do anything different for me that she did for others. She just talked to me about going and how successful I could be. And she made someone with a 12 on his ACT believe that I could be a successful college student. It was her in those many conversations that I had with her as a senior at Pontiac Central. And so this past summer, we worked really with our middle schools and our high schools on specific initiatives. And I want to make sure I'm out of the way here, because for the first time in the history of the Pontiac School District, we worked collaboratively with the Pontiac School District and Oakland Community College to bring to Pontiac High School's campus a college success skills course, where students had an opportunity to earn free college credits. They learned study skills, time management skills, college success skills. And it was taught at the high school on Mondays and Fridays for 6 weeks. And what we're doing now is we're following those kids, right? Because they were all juniors. And so we want to see how many of them will actually enroll in college. We want to see, is there an upward trend in their grades on their transcript as a result of that experience. And so we just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, met with the superintendent, met with the folks again at OCC, and I'm proud to share that we'll be doing that again this year at either the high school or WHRC. And this is what they told us. 50% of the students earned an A. I think another 35% of the students earned a B or C. But what's more is the students in that cohort outperformed OCC students in their past 2 semesters. So if Superintendent Williams were here today, one of the things I know she would say is our students, when given the opportunity, they show up and they show out. So we just have to provide them with opportunities, and more important, we got to do our part, right? And I heard the comment about, why don't we know about the Promise Zone? Well, how long has it been around, Coco? 13 years? And we don't know about the Promise. Something's wrong with that picture. And really, I don't know who we can put it on other than us. And also, one of our partners, Chanel's not here today, but Nikki's here from Oakland County, Michigan Works Pontiac. I can't thank them enough. Please help me give a round of applause for Michigan Works. They didn't just provide summer jobs as they've been doing, but they provided summer jobs to the tune of $250,000 in wages that they paid, with an average wage of over $13 an hour. And I know that just like our city government, just like our school district, just like most institutions in this city, they're not perfect. But they stepped up, and they're already starting meetings this summer. And I think they may have started in January, talking to potential employers about increasing the number of job opportunities that we have available for our young people. And so I'm going to encourage those of you here today, and I see Rosanna in the back. And give Rosanna a round of applause, please, as well. General Motors has a special place in Pontiac. I think we all know that. At one point, nearly 30,000 Pontiac residents worked at General Motors. We were the hub of the truck and bus industry for General Motors. But if you go visit Rosanna today, and you walk in that building, it doesn't look like the old production facilities that I visited when I was young. It's state-of-the-art, modern technology. And in order for our young people to gain employment opportunities in that building, we have to make sure that they are gainfully prepared for jobs of the future. And we know that by 2030, 70% of jobs in this country will require some level of post-secondary education. And so those are the things that our high school students were doing. Our middle school students in that same building last summer, they were participating in experiences from Junior Achievement, where they learned about college and career readiness. They learned about STEM. They learned about the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. And we're going to do that again as well. And we're going to not just do it again, but we're going to add to it, because we just confirmed an opportunity for our youth to spend a week on campus at Oakland University attending an entrepreneurship and international business camp this summer. So we're really excited about that. And lastly, those of you that are my age might recognize this guy. He is a Detroit Lions great, an NFL Super Bowl champion, and in the same high school, at the same time, he brought the Lomas Brown Leap Camp, where students had an opportunity to learn, earn, and play, and participate in experiences that enabled some of them to take that initial step toward becoming a drone pilot. right? And I forget the lady's name, but she's a security officer at one of the schools, and she sat next to me during the school's convocation, and she was telling me about her grandson. And she said, you know, this summer they had this thing at the school, and my grandson has never been so excited about learning. He went to the Lomas Brown camp, right? And so these are the things that we want to do more for our students, but we can't do it without you. So I want to just talk for a few brief moments on how you can help. First and foremost, all the things that you heard today, we need you to take it home, take it to the community, and be an advocate for it, right? Everything that you heard is positive. There should never be another time where someone says, I never heard about the Promise Zone. There shouldn't be a time when we don't hear that our county government has a goal that 80% of us will have a post-secondary education credential by 2030. That's a lofty goal, and we got a long way to go in order to get there. All of us should now understand when you start talking about how bad those kids are, well, that's a deficit framework that you're using. And maybe you need to rethink that. And also what I want to encourage you to do is for those of you that are available this summer between mid-June and mid-August, if you have the time, we'd love to have you volunteer. Because what happens is we have kids all over the place and we need people to help us monitor that process. So site coordinators, if you will. Some may be volunteering. We have some part-time paid experiences that we'd like to explore as well. And we have some folks here today that participated last year. And I said it earlier, but I'm going to emphasize it again. Resist the urge to be negative. Right? It goes back to that deficit lens. We're always talking about, we're complaining about other people. We won't work with this person. We won't work with that person. And I've fallen prey to that as well. And when I recognized it, I had to check myself. Right? We're all human. We all fall prey to being offended at times. But the ultimate goal is to help our youth, right? And if that is the case, and we understand that we can go further together, then we have to get past what I would consider our petty differences and figure out how we can work more collaboratively together. Also, stay in your lane, right? If you're good at literacy, that's where we want you to help. If you're good in post-secondary ed, that's where we need your assistance. If you can provide employment opportunities for 2 or 3 youth this summer, that's where we need you. We have to make sure that in order to maintain accountability, that we have mutually exclusive roles for the people that sit at the table. So everybody can't do the same thing if we're going to be successful. And lastly, help us identify some young people, right? The most frustrating thing for me this past summer, when we brought in Lomas Brown and we brought in junior achievement, and we'd have some days where 10 kids would show up. There you go. Absolutely. And so we need not just kids, we need more employers, but we need you to hold these kids accountable, hold their parents accountable. If you say you're going to do something, we need you to do it. If it starts at 8, we need you there at 7:45. This is a part of holding each other accountable, and that's where we can use your help. We can't do it without you. We need your support, and I just want to take a moment to acknowledge, as I close, Karen for opening the door for us today for this amazing event. And if you have an opportunity to come back, there's an amazing concert here today, this evening, right? 7:30, I came to see Alexander Zonjic here. One of the most amazing concerts I've ever seen. And so if you have a chance, join. And also those other presenters that came today, I want to acknowledge each of them and just give them another round of applause. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge you, because none of you had to be here today. All of you have other things that bring you income, that where your jobs could, quite frankly, been more of a priority, but you took the time to come and join us, and I really want to appreciate you. I want to make sure also that each of you have our strategic plan that's in the back of the room. If you didn't get one, please take one with you. It really highlights who we are, what our strategic goals are over the next 3 years, and I talked to you today really about what we're focusing on in 2023. It is absolutely imperative that not only we come together, but we demonstrate that we can move the needle. And with that, I'm going to say thank you once again. And Anisha, is there anything that, I can't see you back there. Okay, you just heard it. Awesome. Any thoughts or comments from the crowd before we break? Thank you.